welcome to this track guide for the Summit Point Shenandoah circuit. My name is Mike Skeen on behalf of Grid Life and Racers360. We'd like to welcome you. We're going to show you around this track, get you prepared for setting some laps out there. We're riding around today on this video in a Corvette, but regardless of what car you're driving, it's going to be a very similar line. It'll get you a great head start for where to go out, what to look for, and what to keep in mind while you're turning some laps. So as we start the lap here, going down start finish straightaway, there's a little bit of kink and some elevation changes, lots of bumps, but we're going to stay straight all the way through, trying to minimize our steering input through this kink in the straightaway. Got a couple little bumps, and then as we get over the last little crest here, we're going to be going into the brake zone for turn one. You're going to line up on the right side, have heavy initial pedal pressure so that you slow down the car a lot when you have a lot of momentum. That'll eliminate minimize the need for ABS or any lockups. So again, really heavy pedal pressure initially, and then easing up as we get a little closer to the corner, especially in this bumpy brake zone here. We'll keep our eyes up for the end of the brake zone for our turn in. There's a turn in cone here at the end of the road, but that's really where we start adding significant steering input. You're going to start to bend the car into the corner a little bit. Again, with a little bit of trail brake, just keeping a little brake pressure on the front to keep weight on the nose and help it turn into the corner. We're going to let the car kind of go through the middle of the road here early in the corner. We're looking for a very late apex down around the corner. So this is about a 180-degree turn, and we want to get lined up for the nice late apex to get straight and on the power as early as possible through the exit. So we're hanging out a little bit wide here, not rushing down to the apex too early, not getting down to the curbing on the inside too early. We're looking for this cone here. So once we get towards the end of the curbing, we're looking to get the car placed fully left, and that way we can straight line all the way out to our track out as it becomes visible way over here. And you see a little bit bumpy, a couple little camber changes on the way out, but it starts to go a little bit positive camber and a little bit uphill right as you get towards the track out. So that'll help you feed power, get all the power to the ground without getting too much wheel spin. Just let the car go as straight as possible all the way out to the right side of the road, and then we'll get a straight run here on the way back towards the paddock area. So we're going to get a little bit of an uphill brake zone right here at the end of the straightaway. Really hard on the brakes, getting it slowed up a little bit because we're going to have a nice, real sharp turn here as we get over the crest. You can just barely see the turn-in cone on the left here just as you get over the crest. So we want to make sure we have the car slowed down before you lose all the grip going over the top of the hill. So really get it slowed down, and then just light brake as we start to turn in here. You can just see the corner starting to come into view, and you see how it goes downhill and off camber as we go into it. So we want to just drag the brake a little bit, make sure weight stays on the front end of the car, and then as the second apex comes into view here, that's what you're going to aim to clip and straighten the cars to get on the power on the way out. So from here, make sure the car is fully rotated. You're starting to get it pointed all the way to that apex, and only then can you start to feed power back on, get all the way out to that left curbing. And this little right-hander here is kind of a throwaway, not necessarily. We want to be as fast as possible through here, but we really want to set up for the next left-hander that's coming because it leads on to one of the longer straightaways of the lap. So as we come through here, clip that curve. It's a little bit uphill from on the way out. That'll set us up well to get the car rotated going into this next corner. But again, we have a really long corner, leads onto a straightaway, so we want to have a nice late apex. Be patient. Don't go straight for that curb on the left over here. If you get in there too tight, then you're just going to be holding a lot of steering input long through the corner, and you won't be able to get to the power. So we're going to keep it a little bit to the right, right of center as we go in here, and you'll see your turn-in cone. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to be all the way out to the edge of the track. It's going to make it a lot tighter if you go all the way out there. You'll have to turn sharper to get all the way back across the track. But you can see that's basically right at the crest of the hill. So that's where we want to make sure we've got the car starting to point back to the left. If you wait too late going over the crest, it'll be a lot harder to turn the car back. So start giving a little bit of steering input and look for this late apex. It's right as the curbing starts to tighten to go into this shorter quartz layout. You'll clip the apex right here and kind of let the curb go away to the left, and just then you'll start to be able to see the track out forming around the corner. So again, eyes up early so that you can anticipate that and try to get back to power as early as possible. And also it'll let you see how early can I straighten the wheel, get back to power. The earlier you can get all the way back to straight, the better. and we'll let the car all the way out to the edge of the road. Just stay there on the right side, and then we'll set up for this carousel that's coming ahead of us. It's more than 180-degree corner. You can look all the way over to the left. This is the exit of the corner where we're going to be coming out, and we have a little bit of elevation change all the way through. So it's kind of flat on the way in, maybe even downhill just a touch, but then about halfway through, it's going to go uphill, uphill, uphill until we get to this crest over here at the last apex, and then feed power on the way out. So we're going to try to carry a lot of speed in, thread the needle here, starting from the right side of the road on the brakes, aiming to be just clip that left curb a little bit as you let the momentum of the car carry it out to the right half of the track. So here, again, we're starting just to go uphill a little bit. It's pretty flat still. We want to let the car out to the right side, and then you don't want to come in too early and be along the grass here after the second apex. You want to let the car stay a little bit wide, a little mid-track, and right here on this uphill is where we really want to give the car some steering input to get it rotated, looking for the apex just over the hill here. So there we come, right over the crest. You can start to see your last apex, and you can see where the rest of the track's going to go. We're going to try to feed power all the way through that right-hander. So we want to make sure that we get the car really well rotated and tight on this left-hand curve. If you don't get the car turned on the uphill, you're going to end up too far right over here, and that's going to make this right-hander really sharp. So trying to keep it to the left a little bit here. That way we can feed power all the way through this little kink onto this short chute. Give it a little power, full throttle for a little bit. Then we're going to have another little straight line brake zone here. You can see your turn-in cone, but you also notice how the edge of the track turns really quickly right at that cone. So we don't want to stay fully left all the way to that point, because then you'll have to turn too quickly or you run out of space and go in the grass. But again, that's where you really start adding a lot of heavy steering input. So under braking, we're going to kind of bend the car in a little bit. You'll be a few feet from the edge of the road, but right as you get to that cone where the track starts to tighten, it's where you also start to tighten your hands and add some steering input, looking for the apex way around the corner. Again, we have a very sharp, long corner, leads onto a straightaway, so we're going to focus on exit speed, make sure we have a nice late apex. That way we're straightening the wheel on the exit, getting back to power really early. If you carry too much in here, too much speed on the way in, or keep it too far right, it's really going to kill your exit speed, and we have an uphill straightaway to come. So we're going to get it in, rotated, aimed at that apex, and then you can see it's a little bit off camber at sections of this corner, so the grip's not always there laterally, but we want to, again, focus on keeping it in tight. That way we can straighten the exit here, let the car all the way out to the left, track out right at the edge of the curving, and then we're going to just hold the left side until we get up to this little kink in the straightaway. Looks a little bit tight because it's blind. You can't see around under the bridge, but we're going to keep it left until we get up to the curving here. It goes even steeper uphill right here before your turn in, and then we're going to hold until just a couple stripes into this curving before we turn to the right. Again, you still can't really see where you're going necessarily, but this is just a kink, so you can stay on the power. Some really fast cars you might have to lift out of it a little bit. You shouldn't really need to brake anywhere, in any car here, but if you want first couple laps, a little brush of the brake is okay to just get used to it, and then we'll add power all the way through. You got a little bit of camber to your advantage here. The track's leaning in a little bit, so you get good grip going through the apex. Keep it nice and tight on the curb, and then look ahead to the crest of the hill, the end of the straightaway here. We're going to keep it to the left side as we get up to the crest here. If you move over too far right, you're likely to run out of room over there. It's going to aim you too far right over to the edge of the course. So keep it left, hands straight going over the crest. It's going to get light, a little bit bumpy going over the top. And then as we come down the back side of it, we're going to start getting on the brakes. You got really good compression here where it starts to go back uphill, and a nice, pretty steep brake zone up to my favorite corner in the track, which is modeled after the Nürburgring Nordschleife carousel. Got this really banked concrete, over 180-degree corner here. But on this course, you also have the advantage of an inside lane, which is very flat, smooth asphalt. So you can go either way. You can go as the camera car does here and run the tighter line around the inside, or you can take it up onto the banking and run the carousel. I suggest at least a couple of times going up on the concrete. Try it out. It's fun. But if your cars are super stiff or something, you don't like it, that's fine. If you are up on the banking, make sure you're looking way ahead. You're going to have to be eyes up through the top left of the windshield so you can see far enough around the corner. But it's a really cool experience. Try it out. Either line is about the same in terms of time, whether you're running the lower grip, inside tight lane or the longer banked corner around the outside, you're going to end up coming out about the same point, right side of center as you look into the next corner. And again, we've got a tight blind rise, but we're going to keep it to the right. As we get over the top of this hill, you're going to have a left corner. So you've got to keep it to the right. Look for the top of this curb where it goes out of view over the crest. And just clip that. You probably will need a little dab of the brake to keep some weight on the nose as you turn into the left here. But it's really tight, almost autocross-like speeds through here, so you can really test the limits of the car, kind of lean on it and feel the transitions really well. And then this is kind of the last tight corner leading back onto the start-finish straightaway. So we want to make sure we get a really good run out of here. But the whole way we're being fought because it's downhill and off camber. So as we get over the initial crest here, still a little bit downhill. We don't want to go all the way out to the edge of the track for this turn-in cone here because it'll make it really tight to come back. But you want to go left just a little bit off of the curbing here, so about middle of the track as you go through the middle of the corner. That way you can come back and get a good clipping point at the end of the corner for a nice late apex and get back to power as you head onto a little bit of a straightaway. There's a little bit of a left turn coming into it, but you want to be building speed all the way through here onto the straightaway. So higher power cars, you're still really going to be modulating the speed a little bit. Not quite full throttle through here, but some lower power cars, you'll already be getting to full throttle, trying to get all the entry speed to the straightaway that's possible. And then right at the track out of this corner, you'll see a little compression where this puddle is formed before. You get a lot of grip right at the track out, which will help. And then a little bit uphill to the last corner, you'll see they've got a turn-in cone about a car length before the pavement starts to turn. And you want to hang out there a little bit longer than it looks because this is such a long corner. If you go straight for the apex early, you're going to run out of room on the track out. So make sure you stay off this curb initially, at least until this point where it tightens. And then you can start to pick up the inside a little bit. And make sure you hold it there until you start to see the track out become visible. If you clip it early and just let it start tracking out, then you have to get out of the throttle and it'll really hurt your speed onto the straightaway. So keep it in tight there. Make sure you're feeding power all the way through. You don't want to brake on the way in as much as possible. You want to be building speed. At least have a little bit of maintenance throttle to put some weight on the rear and stabilize it as you're going through this final corner, and then just open the wheel as early as possible, let it all the way out to the track out curbing, and draw a nice straight line through the kink as you finish out the lap and prepare for another one going into turn one. So that's a lap at Shenandoah Circuit. Thank you for joining us. Have fun on track. We look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.